Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 63 of the On-Air Advocate, where at the On-Air Advocate, we look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I am the host and producer of the On-Air Advocate, and I am super excited that you are joining us either here right now this evening, watching and tuning in, or if you are catching it on the replay. Now, as always, if you feel that any of this content that we are talking about tonight could be relevant for anyone, please hit the share button and share the love with others. Now, as most of you know, we have been in a mental health series. And with that said, I am so excited to have here tonight Mark, Kelly, and Janet from Just Live Inc. Hi, guys.
Hi, Tammy.
Thanks so much for bearing with the little bit of difficulties getting on here, but we are here now to share. So, Kelly, I would love for you to take it away for me and share with the audience just a little snippet about what Just Live is as
Sure.
the co-founder.
Thanks, Tammy. In 2009, August of 2009, this month, we lost my daughter Jamie to suicide and depression. Of course, she was my daughter. She was a granddaughter. She was a sister, a cousin, and a friend. Shortly thereafter, Jamie passed. Two more individuals in our community had also fallen to suicide. So we really felt compelled to do something about it within our community. So in February of 2012, we developed a nonprofit organization, Just Live, and included a music festival as a healing process for us as survivors to show our dedication and devotion to our loved ones and this cause. We named it Labor of Love because it really, to us, was a community event that gave a lot of time for those that were involved, and it is a labor of love because it's so much work and effort to share your story over and over again. Again, we thought it was a fitting name for a music festival, which is our #1 fundraiser for suicide awareness, prevention, and education. The heart and soul of this organization was really created by a number of individuals, a community who were a huge part of Jamie's life, and we chose to honor Jamie's memory and all those who we lost to the illness. While the numbers continue to grow, we continue to fight so we can hold on and help others. And truly our mission, Tammy, is to provide suicide prevention education to our community, financial support to related supportive organizations, and emotional support to anyone affected by suicide, depression, and mental illness, so others may just live.
I love that. And we're going to, as the show goes on, get a little bit more into the contributions and where things go and getting involved and all of that. But we have, with us, Kelly, you're here, the co-founder. We have Janet, and we also have Mark here. Mark, how did you get involved or learn about Just Live and kind of your journey as to how you got brought together, with Kelly, but, personally, if this has impacted you in any way?
Well, first of all, Kelly grew up down the hill from me. So I've known Kelly since 1967, known her family. We all come from a small lake around here called Lovely Lake. A lot of families. It's not a big lake, but a lot of large families. So everyone, I'm one of 8 children. Kelly is one of 10, I believe.
8.
And you go around the lake, you have them. So my brothers and sisters all played with Kelly's brothers and sisters. We all intermingled forever. When I had children and Kelly had children, my daughters hung out with Jamie, played with Jamie. So we got to know Jamie as a child and watch my daughters play with her. When the first, when they had the first labor of love, my son Patrick was involved for the first 4 or 5 years. He was in the dunk tape and did everything else. And my son committed suicide 4 years ago. And with that, looked out, what do I do? What can we do to change this equation? Because I think that's what Just Live is really trying to do, is change the equation. What can we do to disrupt this arc that we're on right now? And I think we're doing it. Just Live is doing that. So when that happened, I reached out to Kelly, and Kelly has been nothing but an inspiration to me as far as guidance. How do you deal with something like this? And you have to look for somebody, you know, that's been there and been through it, and Kelly's been through it. So Kelly's helped my family. Kelly's family's helped my family. The people of Just Live, you know, Janet, Mark, Woody, just all of them, they give you a big hug and they pull you in. And by pulling you in, they help heal you. So that's what they've done. So with that, I've been the president the last 3 years. Couldn't be prouder of what we've done and what we've accomplished, because it's not easy. Watching Kelly when she first started, I didn't think I'd tear up, but it's not. You go through this, and when you talk with it, I don't care if I cry anymore. I really don't. It's just something that you deal with and you move on from there. So that's one thing they taught me, is it's okay to cry.
Right.
It's okay to do that. So what Just Love has done is just gives a big hug and says, come here, let me help you. And they help you, and they help heal the spirit. So that's why I'm so proud to be a member of this, and so proud to be on the board and helping out any way we can.
That's wonderful. And Janet, how did you get involved?
My story is a little bit different. I happened to be driving by the car wash in Twin Lakes one day, probably after the first festival. So this was probably in the second year. And I saw these people waving signs and come get your car washed, and all of the proceeds will go to Just Live. I thought, wow, what's Just Live? So I drove my car in and I started talking to them about it. And my husband and I own Arbor Hills Nursery, which is a tree nursery. And I said, are you looking for donations? I said, we'd be happy to donate a tree. So we donated a tree toward the raffle. I said, well, what exactly do you do? And they started telling me what they did. And that touched me personally, because we have a very close family member who's suffered from severe depression over half of her adult life. And to see this person suffer with, you know, not a lot of relief, you know, many medications that you try, they all have side effects. Some work, some don't. Some work for a while and then they don't work anymore. It's very, very difficult as a family member to watch somebody suffer like that. So that's how it touched me. I was also touched by the fact that I was on active duty as a commander in the United States Navy. And I knew that suicide and not combat is a leading cause of death among our deployed troops, that 123 individuals per day die of suicide, and 22 of those are veterans. So being in the health field in the Medical Service Corps of the United States Navy, I knew that suicide and mental illness touched the military very closely. So with all of those things combined, I said, set the hook in my cheek, reel me in. And I've been a member of both the board and a volunteer, an active volunteer, as is my husband, on the Labor of Love Festival and the Just Live board.
Wow. What a testament to turning, you know, some of our pains into purpose and driving forward. And I know you guys at Just Live, when I've heard some of the numbers, have done some just amazing things over these years. What I wanted to learn more about too with Just Live, I know that it's not just the festival that you guys put the festival on, but then those contributions go to all different entities, right? Of different resources to help others. Can one of you talk about that a little bit?
So I'd be happy to do that. What we initially decided was that we would be the ones to organize the organizations, and that we would go ahead and put out the directories and do all of the work. And then what we realized is we're just a grassroots organization of approximately 10 to 15 people. We all had other lives, and that there were organizations already established who were doing that. So we made the board decision to give the money to those organizations. And some of the organizations that we have given to are the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, the Center for Suicide Awareness. They actually have a program called Hope Line, which is 741-741. It's a texting line where anybody at any time of the day or night can text those numbers, and there will be a live person on the other end of a computer to answer, to engage, to let them know they're not alone, to help them in any way with any kind of resources they can, so to let them know that they're not alone in the horror that they're feeling. We've given to Mental Health America, to the Shalom Center, and we've also decided to pay it forward in a way that we've given to Marquette University, which is an actual new entity we've given to, because they're actually doing the research, Tammy, to figure out what causes mental illness, the conditions, what treatments might be available, in the hopes of finding the cures for this debilitating mental health issue that many, many people suffer. So we've gone to the organizations that are already giving the aid, and to the organizations that are hoping to discover what can be done for something that almost a quarter of the population suffers from, which is depression, which often leads to suicide.
Which is just astronomical when you lay it out that when you look at those numbers. For all of you having been touched and experienced this in, different ways for all of you, if someone is watching this right now and they have a family member, they have a child, they have a friend that they feel is, suffering in some way, that may be, in harm's way of themselves, or you're just starting to notice differences in them, just from your own personal experiences, would you have any suggestions on things that they maybe actively can do, to hopefully help the situation a little bit, if possible, or getting themselves resources? Are there resources out there for you to get resources as the person seeing someone struggling, and ask advice and, get help and seek help that way?
I'll start just really briefly by saying, when you know that somebody's in harm's way, reach out to others, family members, friends, and let them know that this person is struggling, and do everything you can to make them feel that they're not alone. It's very important, because a lot of people don't want anybody else to know that they're in this deep, dark place, not knowing what to do about it. But when Jamie suffered with depression and was very sad, I told everyone in my family, Jamie's not doing well. She needs help. She needs support. I reached out to as many people as I possibly could. I didn't hide it. I didn't keep it in. I shared it with others. That was very helpful for me and for her.
Right. Because I think within our family support systems all the time, it gives you more eyes also, to be watching out, to be checking in, to be sending the text message, to be, are you okay? Are you doing all right? To do that. Mark, what about for yourself?
It's the same way. We were very open with Patrick, the struggles he was going through, and I worked for a family business. Patrick worked for me, and my brothers and sisters worked for the company, and they all watched out. We all kept an eye out for him. We all did. They all did all they could, and you need everybody, your friends, family, acquaintances, anybody. If you see that person, even just call for help. Call 911. You think this person's got a problem? You'd rather be safe than sorry, I think, and that's the approach I would take. Here's something else I'll say. Is somebody asked me the other day? I was at a meeting, and their son was going through trans issues, and he asked me. He said that his wife was having an issue with it, and he did, and he said, asking me my opinion, and I said, I'd rather have a live son than a dead son. I would rather deal with those issues, go talk to those people, talk it out as a family, than have that person who tried to commit suicide because of that issue. And that's an issue people can talk about. So I think it is, don't be hung up by religion. Don't be hung up by other morals. Look to save that person. What can you do to make that person feel better and to feel loved? Who cares about everything else? Just care about that individual. So, whatever you got to do. Whatever you got to do to keep that person alive. And it's not easy, because I know because of being, and I know Kelly and Janet, because we're in this position, people come to us all the time and ask us our opinion. What do we do? And, all I am is a salesman. That's all I am. But my experiences, I can tell them what my experience is. I
Right.
don't know the exact answer, but I can tell them my experience and what I would do. And I would do whatever it takes to help that person. So that would be my advice.
Thank you. And Jen, I know you were talking about a family member that, had been experiencing, issues and whatnot. What were some things that you and your family, have done to kind of embrace her, right?
Sure, right. Yeah. So, I think one of the most important things is the stigma.
Mm-hmm.
It's so difficult to talk about it to other people. It would have been easier to say this person had diabetes or a heart murmur than to say the person's suffering from depression, because so many times people would say, well, why don't they just snap out of it? What have they got to be depressed about?
Mm-hmm.
Look where they live. They have an intact family unit with lots of love around them, but it's an illness. You wouldn't say to somebody, snap out of cancer. You wouldn't say that. But I find that the most important thing beyond and adding to what Mark and Kelly have said is to actually approach the person and say, are you thinking about killing yourself? Mm-hmm. And although that's a very, very difficult question to ask, that really makes a big difference. So when a person, for instance, goes to the hospital, that's a question that they would ask. Are you thinking about killing yourself? Person might say, well, yes, I am. The next question then is, have you developed a plan? And if the person says, well, not really, that's really the drawing line. That's really where you've got a little bit of breathing space. Because if that person says, yes, I've got a plan, I know exactly how I'm going to do it, then you're in a whole different kettle of fish.
Right.
If the person is saying, yes, I've thought about it, just like I want to go to sleep and I don't want to wake up, but I really haven't thought about how. That really makes a big difference. And again, mirroring what Kelly and Mark have said, letting people know, because it's not just the person who's suffering, it's everybody that they touch is suffering. It's the parents, it's the siblings, it's the grandparents, it's the friends, it's everybody. It's not just the person suffering. It's heartbreaking, but you've got to do everything that you possibly can to try to pull out every resource that you can to help that person. And unfortunately, a lot of the medications that are still out there are the same old medications, the Prozac, the Seroquel, the Lexapro, the Zoloft. It's the same stuff. And that's why we're so encouraged by Marquette University moving forward with the research.
Right, to develop new things. Because obviously all of those medications and the things, though it has probably helped, obviously it's not changing the issue.
Right, and also they say that it's medication combined with counseling. Right. And as many people know who have been through counseling, you may try 100 counselors and maybe 99 won't work. You won't click with 99, but the 100th will. And unfortunately, the person who's going through depression, depression, like Winston Churchill calls it, the black dog. You don't want to get up. You don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to do anything. You do the bare essentials that you have to do. And the last thing you may want to do is go for help or go talk to someone about it. You just want to be left alone. And that is a big stumbling block.
And to mirror some of the things that you said, this last 2 weeks that we've been covering mental health, we've had a few different doctors and physicians and whatnot on, and they reiterated what you just said, and we're asking questions, making sure that they're direct questions. Do you have a plan? Are you thinking of killing yourself? Versus kind of sugarcoating it and skirting around the topic, talking about it more openly. The other thing we talked a little bit about was counseling and how that can become frustrating. So I can drop the link again below, but some of the doctors gave, it's a national website that you can get a little bit more detailed information about counselors and whatnot, so that if you are the one trying to find someone for your loved one, more of a personality match, because what we know is that somebody might go once and they might go twice and you might get them to go 3 times. But if you're not hitting matches at that, it's a real hard push to get somebody when they're in a depressive state to just continue to go meeting these people, and you're the one telling them it's going to help, but they're meeting all these people that they don't feel they connect with. And so if any of that can be eliminated, though it's not a perfect answer, I didn't realize there was a site like that available. So I'll drop that below again, that you can put in, kind of your demographical area, the person's age and whatnot, and different counselors and therapists come up. So I thought that was a tool that could be at least used. Now, I know you spoke about the hotline number. The hotline number that you were speaking of, can families also text that, or is that for only the individual that is experiencing the depression?
Anybody can text.
Yeah, anybody can text. And I think if you take a look, if you go on her website, the Hope Line of Suicide, Center for Suicide Prevention, this was started by Barb Balaki. She's an amazing woman based in Wisconsin, and not only the texting line, the state of Wisconsin, she had a bill in front of the state of Wisconsin this year for them to fund Hope Line, for the state of Wisconsin to fund the texting service. You would think they would knock down doors for them to do this. It did not pass. In January, the governor gave Barb an award for being one of Wisconsin Women of the Year. In February, they vote down her bill. All it was $150,000 to support a texting service. Tammy, if you really want to know the big issue right now, I think it's politics. And what we're seeing is money diverted from suicide awareness to opioids. And there's a correlation. Money has to go towards opioids addiction. It has to go that way. But you can't rob Peter to pay Paul. And that's what's going on right now. And the logic to take something away from a suicide rate that is at high since 1990, we haven't seen these rates, and they continue to grow, and we're taking state funding away from that. I think that's criminal. I think it's short-sighted, and I think it's something that people really have. The elections are this fall. That's a question that every candidate should be asked. All right, how do you stand on mental illness? And they'll know what they'll say. I've done this for opioids. That's great. That's wonderful. We're happy for it. But ask them, what have you done for mental illness? How did you vote for the Hope Line? And it passed to representatives. The Senate never got a fair vote. So this is something that in the last 3 years, Barb has saved 49 people in active suicides. 49 people. Now they say a suicide costs $1 million, $1.1 million per suicide attempt. That's the police, that's everything involved in it. So she saved the state of Wisconsin $49 million, plus over $50 million, you do the math, though they won't give her $150,000 to fund this. It's criminal. It's not only Wisconsin, you go across the entire United States. You look at veterans, you look at the suicide rate for veterans, 22 veterans die a year. More soldiers die of suicide than in combat today. So think about that. So we're watching the suicide rate go through the roof, all right? And what are we doing? We're turning our back to it. We see Kate Spade die. We see Anthony Bourdain die. Robin Williams. Let's go down the list. What is this blip caught? Nothing changes. It gets on national news. You see the suicide line down there. But what is government doing? What is government doing to change this? And that's what we need. I think the longer I've been on this, the longer, and Kelly and Janet will say I got my high horse at this stuff. But we need government to step in. We need government to help. So please, people out there listening to me, ask your representative, ask your state senator when they're coming to your door how you vote, and ask them about mental health, please. So. Thank you.
Right. And that speaks to so many different topics that we have going on, is that as so many individuals, unless you're entrenched in it and you've experienced it yourself within your family, your friends, within your circle, you don't even know that those types of things are going on. Because if you knew about them as a normal individual, living in the state, you'd be like, well, yeah, I want that resource available. Yeah, that sounds like a great thing. But a lot of times people don't even know because they haven't been impacted by it. And so that's why it's so relevant, like on this show, for people to be saying what's really going on, because you're the ones that have experienced it and you're the ones that have lived it. And so I completely second that, I mean, when you look at that in the big picture, $150,000 a year to, I'm saying us losing our children and our young adults and our family members and our veterans, it's really so small and minute in cost. Now, do you guys know about the national hotline? I know that this last 2 weeks that, has come up, there's that national suicide hotline. Is that something that is like a government thing, or is that an individual who started that? I'm just not aware.
I believe it's a government thing.
Okay.
And I think it just passed. And I texted them back and I said, why not a texting service? This is great. And they said, well, I'm just a troublemaker, I guess. And what they said is that you have to.
And we love you for it, Mark.
You have to walk before, we have to call before we can walk. So we have to get the national telephone set up first, and then they'll work on the texting service. So yes, I think what they did, and I believe it was the American Association for Suicide Prevention did that. They were the advocates to get that done. And I tip my hat to them, because however we save a life, it's worth it. So right. I'm sure that's about that 100 million decimal on the budget of the United States. But if it saves lives, right. That's all that matters.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's a good thing. I think anything out there that people talk about it, destigmatize it, talk about suicide is a good thing. It's just not happening enough in the right way. It's not happening in the halls of Congress. It's not happening in the state.
Right. And something that I was just reading, that I think it's in New York City or whatever, they're launching within their high schools a whole mental health, curriculum and program, which I think that if we want to talk about things, I think that needs to start a whole lot sooner. When do we ever talk about it? I think that's part of the problem. The Mighty just wrote an article about depression, suicide, and they said it's okay to not be okay. And I think that that's what needs to be out there. There's so much stigma, like there's something wrong with you if you need to see a counselor. There's something wrong with you if you're feeling sad and depressed and if you're not happy every moment of the day and all of these things. But I think it also needs to start within our schools too, within that programming and people being able to detect that, let people know when they're sad. But I don't even think within our high schools, our elementary schools, it's never even touched. It's just something that everyone's quiet about. I don't know if you guys know of any other programs like that have started or not. I just read that. Yeah. It just came out.
Erika's Lighthouse, based in Waukegan. We've given money to Erika's Lighthouse in the past. And Erika's Lighthouse does fund programs like that, as far as teaching elementary and also secondary high schools. Come in there, giving the class. These are the questions you should ask your classmates. I think, Janet, you took one of those classes, didn't you?
Right.
Was it QPR or?
Yes, that's what we taught.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I think they are out there more than you think. It also depends on the school district, is from what I think Kelly and I have heard over the years. Some school districts are very open to it. Some don't even like to say the word suicide. So it all depends on the district. And, so it's spotty at best, I would say.
Tammy, something else that's coming out now that people should be well aware of is the high suicide and substance abuse problem among our paramedics, our firemen, our policemen, and our EMTs. A lot of these people, particularly in our area, are volunteers. And when they get awakened in the middle of the night, it's not to go to a party. It's to go to something horrific. And unfortunately, they all have jobs during the day. But what happens to the stress that they endure through whatever horror they are going to encounter? And so one of the things that we've recently funded is a program called HeartMath, which we're going to be rolling out to the volunteer fire departments, the EMTs, the paramedics, to teach them how to decompress after these horrific events. Because what we don't want them to do is to bury these things inside them. They're like our warriors. They're like our military. We teach them how to be strong. We teach them, suck it up. We teach them, if it hurts, let's put a Band-Aid on it. We put a lot of money into you, and we're going to get you back into the war. Well, we do the same thing with our paramedics, our EMTs, and our firefighters. And unfortunately, what happens is they go to these horrific events, they suck all this negativity and horror inside them, and then they turn to drugs, they become depressed, they commit suicide. So again, one of these things that we're going to be giving some of our money to is to teach them how to basically meditate and how to calm themselves and learn to calm themselves through biofeedback after these horrific events occur, so that they won't go down to the dark road of depression and suicide or substance abuse.
That is awesome. Now, with that being said, anyone who's listening and thinking, well, how can I get involved? How can I create change? How can I, give back in whatever way? What are some of the different ways through Just Live that if somebody didn't live in Wisconsin, or if they did, what are kind of those different areas of getting involved, for this cause, for all the different entities that you guys give to, that really, is the umbrella over, and all the different aspects, from, like you were talking about, our firefighters and police, to things in our schools, to Marquette University, to research and all of that. Who wants to take that away?
I'll grab it real quick, because
Okay.
I live in Illinois, so I'm outside the state as it is. I live. My permanent home is in Westchester, Illinois, and this is just a cottage that I have up in Wisconsin. But I think there's a lot of ways. Go online. You can volunteer for labor of love. But we have many. We do bike rides. We do motorcycle rides. We do horseshoe tournaments. We do stuff just about every weekend. So if people want to get involved, go on our website, go on Facebook, and give us a call, and we'll be happy to help them any way they want, as far as direction, as far as helping us out. We work at the Kenosha County Fair some years and hand out stuff. And we talk to volunteers then, and also talk to people who are struggling too. So the best thing to do is just, my brother wanted to get involved in it, and he reached out to a suicide hotline in Oak Park. So in Oak Park, Illinois. So there's different people that need your help. Just Google it, look in the phone book, or just reach out to us and we'll help you.
Okay. To get connected. To connect in any way. Now, through the Just Live website and whatnot, you guys take donations, correct? That people can just make online monetary donations that can go towards any of the. Now, can they specify where they want that to go for the different organizations that you guys contribute to, or do you guys just kind of take it all and then divide it as needed?
We take it all and go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, we take it all and we just divide it on the organizations that we feel that are worthy. We do our due diligence, Tammy, on all of the organizations that we support. We feel very comfortable that the money that we forward from people that trust in us to make sure that we're making a difference is put in the right hands. So we have over the years had people come to us and say that they wanted to donate, whether it's a loss of a loved one in lieu of flowers for funerals. Donations are made to Just Live. People in our community have lost a loved one, so they've done maybe a poker ride or a bicycle ride, or, like Mark had said, a horseshoe tournament. So we're events that people feel that they're putting in good hands with Just Live, and we'll make sure that it gets allocated to the right people. So.
Okay.
And certainly when people give money to in memory of somebody, they can stipulate that in the donation, say, in memory of my mother, of my son, and so the note that we acknowledge, and we acknowledge every donation with a personalized letter, would acknowledge that money is acknowledged, that it is going in the memory of that person or in honor of that person.
And with that, it's like a motorcycle ride by right there.
Sorry, guys.
No, great. It was like, I felt like it just had hit the end of her segment and it just went. So that, everyone's memory will stay alive by doing that, and they will get acknowledgement for that. So that is wonderful. Now, you guys have your big festival, though, coming up. So if you're in the state of Wisconsin, or if you're flying into Wisconsin for a different other reasons, family, friends, festivals, can you guys tell me a little bit about this, the annual Labor of Love Music Festival? Here, I have this.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Janet.
So I can go down this road. So every year on every Sunday of Labor Day weekend in the New Munster Ballpark, which is 10 miles west of Paddock Lake and 10 miles east of Lake Geneva, we put on a Kick ASS festival. And it is a lot of fun. It's free admission. It's family oriented. We pay good money for phenomenal bluegrass bands because that was something that was a love of Jamie Lee's. We have raffles that go anywhere from turkey hunts to Tennessee, to weekends in Kohler, Wisconsin, to camping packages, to free RV rentals. We're very fortunate in that we've got a community of businesses around here who generously give to us to make some phenomenal raffle packages. We have great food, great drink. Like I said, it's free to the public, and it goes from 11:30 to 7 every Sunday of Labor Day weekend. I'm the MC. We all make it a lot of fun. It's exhausting, but it's a lot of fun. And we have children's events there, everything for everybody of every age. We have the Great Lakes Color Guard come, the military color guard come, and they open the festival for us. They've done that every year for us. And I cannot begin to tell you how much fun it is. But I also have to tell you that it's a sobering event because people come to us with very heavy hearts. And so one of the best recommendations that we got from somebody who actually attended as one of the people who came to our festival was they said, you know, there's nowhere here to talk to somebody. I mean, you're bringing up all this stuff about suicide and depression, and we're all having fun and everything. But what if this stirs something inside me? What if I recently lost someone to suicide? Or what if I'm considering suicide, or I have depression? What can I do? So we developed what's called the Talking Tent. And we have trained clinicians there who are available for the whole time that we're there to talk to people, to sit down, to hold their hand, to let them talk and give them the resources they need to helpfully move on.
That is phenomenal. That is phenomenal. I love that. I absolutely love that. And I'm going to be there this year. So
we expect to see you, Tammy.
And Tammy, one other thing, we have about 190 volunteers that help us that day, the various events, which we couldn't do this without these 190 people. And we'll have over 2,000 people, I'm sure. So it's a fun day. And once again, thank you for the 190 people, because it'd be very difficult without them.
Right.
At every single one of these festivals, we raise in excess of $80,000. $80,000. And it all goes, it's given away to all.
Right. I know we were talking about that for administrative costs. And what's awesome is that in my time of charitable work and whatnot that I did, you know, I'm very, very passionate about organizations that do things with very, very low administrative costs. And you are another one of those organizations that does that people know that when they're entrusting in you guys to give their donation dollars and to come out, that it is going right to the sources of the people who are making things happen and getting it done. So it's very near and dear to my heart. So I love that. We're going to put up a big flyer of this, so you guys don't just have to look at my little one through here. And we'll have the event up and all of the resources there. Also, the Hope Line is something that is just for the state of Wisconsin, correct?
It also gets Northern Illinois, and I believe it gets Great Lakes. They cover Great Lakes even. So It's something that would be a great idea to go nationally. Even to get in Illinois. I mean, that's my thought, is the next move should be Illinois. I just haven't figured out how to do that yet. But it just goes the whole state of Wisconsin and Illinois. And once again, we gave them the initial $25,000 seed money to get that going, so to be able to expand that. So we were on the cutting edge of Hope Line. We were very proud of that. So I think since then we've given them close to $70,000. So We just want the state of Wisconsin to pony up. That's all we're
Right.
asking.
Right.
So,
Well, maybe we can take Skywalker in this.
yes.
Oh, let him hear it. Let him hear it. So we're going to drop all the different resources that we have been talking about for this about hour that we have been on. We're going to drop all of those below. We're going to drop any flyers, the flyer for the event and stuff below as well. So if you guys want to gather any of that information or utilize it, you guys will have it right at your fingertips for that. In wrap up, guys, is there anything that any one of you would like to add, say, anything else in wrap up? I don't know what's happening, if that's someone else's mic or mine. I'm sorry if it's mine. I hear this reverb.
I would like to start by saying that there's two other books that are available with all proceeds going to Just Live. And that would be a book that my father, Bob Riley, wrote, and that is What a Ride. And another book that Sharon Angelisi wrote, and that is Dear Cain. Both great reads. They are mentioned on our website. So please feel free. Dear Cain.
What do you think she was going to say?
Or whether it's donation
it's coming.
Or raffles.
Okay, so you said we just kind of lost you for a minute. There's the What a Ride and then Dear Cain. We can drop the links too right below for those. So if they want to just go right to those links, we'll drop them right in the info so that they have those. But those are also available to purchase on your website. Right. And you were saying that 100% of the proceeds go back from those books.
For What a Ride, correct. Dear Cain, again, that's sold on Amazon, so there's a proceed that does go to Just Live on that.
Okay, perfect. And Janet, Mark, anything else in wrap up?
Yeah, just
Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank all our sponsors out there who help give us money, give us gifts, give us donations. Without them, we couldn't have, like the volunteers, we couldn't do what we're doing. So also, let's hope for a great day on September 2nd. And nice sunny day, nice 80-degree weather. And we've been lucky. We've always had it, so I'm expecting the same thing. But please come, everyone, please come. I guarantee you'll have a great day and a fun day. So.
And the only thing that I would like to add to that is that you're not alone. So anybody who is listening to this needs to know that everybody knows somebody who's struggling. You know, the Buddha says, life is a struggle, pain is optional. But everybody knows somebody who's struggling. And if a quarter of our population is suffering with a mental illness, I guarantee that everybody knows somebody. And all you have to do is reach out and let somebody know that you're hurting, or if you know someone who's hurting, ask them the hard questions that you need to ask them. It could save their life. And I just want to thank you, Tammy, for sponsoring us tonight. It was a pleasure speaking with you. All of us appreciate the exposure that you've given to us. And I expect to see you at that festival.
You'll see me and probably some kids.
That's okay.
See me and my troop.
Thank you so much, Tammy.
Yeah, I thank you guys for being so transparent. I thank you all for sharing your stories, because anytime coming on any platform and sharing, you know, your story is not easy. But I think it shows so many that, you know, we can turn our pain into purpose, and we really can create change through that. And so I thank you guys for doing that. And I want you guys, you know, for us to all keep talking and letting people know it's okay to not be okay. And like you were saying, you know, there is always someone there, you know, reach out both ways. You know, you talk about it, we need to be talking about it. And if you're struggling with something, know that there are many people out there to speak with. And we're going to drop all those resources below as well. So on that note, thank you guys again for being on the show. And thank you all for tuning in tonight to the On Air Advocate. If you would like any more of information about the On Air Advocate, our podcast, tutorial videos, or any of those things, you can go right on over to onairadvocate.com. Also, if you want to be a part of our private community where we can connect every day, you can head on over to our On Air Advocate community, which is right at the top of this Facebook page. Hit the visit group button, and that will take you right there to request to be in. So on that note, everybody have a fabulous evening, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good night.
Tammy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.